Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ed Foley, and with me tonight is Robert Parente, a Board of Education candidate on the Republican ticket. Good evening.
Good evening, Ed. How are you?
Good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on the Board of Education?
I'm a lifelong resident of East Haven. I've been educated through the East Haven school system. I actually started off at St. Vincent's back in the 70s. Graduated high school in 1972. Went on to college, University of New Haven, majored in law enforcement. And when I left my college career, I opened up a line of gas stations, convenience stores. At one point I had 12 of them around the state. Unfortunately, I became disabled through a car accident and have since been on disability. And what that does is it gives me a lot of time to spend in the Board of Education on a daily basis, since I'm not committed to work at a particular job. I've been on the board for 3 decades now. I served originally in the 80s under Superintendent Kasner. And I've seen 3 or 4 superintendents come and go in the system, and I've seen a lot of changes. I'm very proud of some of the changes we've made over the last 10 years specifically. I think we're on the right track, and I look forward to being reelected again in November to continue what we've started.
Been asking everybody this, and if you watch the show, you probably know I've been railing about this for a while. Our class sizes, I think they should be smaller. What is your opinion?
Well, class sizes obviously come down to economics. We've got class sizes now. The average is between 17 and 20. We do have some classes that are still at 21 and 22. It's hard to make a decision with class size. It's easy to say, let's hire a teacher, let's put somebody in place. But in this town, inherently, we've got bubbles that come up and down the system. If you provide for a situation today and next year you've got that same class that comes in with 12 kids, now you've got an excess teacher here and there, what do you do with them? I don't like class sizes above 15 or 16 myself. I think the kids need some specialized education, and we've tried to get around that in certain areas by putting in teachers' aides into classrooms where it's permissible. And I'm very pleased with the class sizes now. In retrospect to what we've had in the past, we were up at 25, 30 kids at times. It should never have been. It took a while to get to where we are, but I think in general right now I'm very pleased with class sizes.
Another issue that I've been kind of railing about and on the show, and whoever will listen to me, most people try to avoid it after a while, is the amount of money that's being spent administratively versus in the classroom. We're at about 50-50, which is the lowest in the state. The guidelines suggest 60-65%. You want to address that?
Well, that's a tough question to answer because we've got administration throughout our district in different capacities. Yes, are we top heavy? I can't say we're top heavy. Do we have more administration than other districts? Yes, we probably do. Are they utilized to the best of their capabilities? Unquestionably. I think the current administration with Mr. Sirio at the helm has continued our path where we want to be administratively. I think there's no one sitting on their rear ends during the course of any particular day and time. Everybody's got a specific job, they're doing their job, and I guess anyone can argue that debate either way. When is too much too much? But right now I think there's a good comfort level with our administration and our administrators.
Another question that came up, and it came up kind of strongly this summer, was what's going to happen with the Academy. What are your thoughts on that?
The Academy is a great program. I think it definitely gives the concern and a structured education. The people affiliated with the Academy think a little bit outside of the box, which is what those children go with. The Academy also, you have to look at it in a couple different ways. I look at it as chairman of Building and Grounds purely as an economical basis. I know that right now we utilize in excess of 60 gallons an hour to heat that school up because we're tied into the old school. At 60 gallons an hour just to heat that building, along with the other costs that the building has along with it, it is an expensive proposition. Does it need to be moved? Does it need to be restructured? Do we need to, in fact, cut things off from the old high school? We all have dreams of that. Do I want to close the Academy? No way. The Academy serves its purpose. We've got some great kids that have gone in and out of the Academy, and I'm very pleased with the way it's been structured. So we will be evaluating its future. I know there's rumors out there all over the place of moving here and moving there or doing away with the program completely. We're not going to do away with anything at this point in time. So I think that the future will have to look into the economics of it and weigh things in accordance to those.
And you brought it up also. I mean, being the chairman of Buildings and Grounds, we do have a lot of buildings.
Yes, we do.
And have you given any thought to what we need to do with these buildings, if anything?
The one thing that I've always been a proponent of is neighborhood schools. We are probably one of the last districts in Connecticut that still has neighborhood schools. If you look at Branford, Guilford, they have one central elementary school, and everyone gets bused into that location. East Haven has always tried to maintain the neighborhood aspect of teaching. It's been very successful. It's very expensive. It's what we have always felt that the people of East Haven have wanted. Does it necessitate additional maintenance on these buildings? Of course it does. It's hard to keep these schools updated with things. We've recently completed a project that all our schools finally have all new boilers. They're on a dual fuel system. We can flip over from gas to oil whenever we have the need to, depending on pricing and depending on what the economics call for. Are our schools in need of any repairs? What school isn't? We have a maintenance program under Mr. Travaglino that has been very successful. I think if you walk through any of our schools at any point in time, I think they're the cleanest they've been in a long time. Would I like to see an additional structure possibly built in the future? We're going to need it. We can't be foolish enough to think that the junior high school built in 1954 is going to suffice too many more years in its current condition. Technology just won't let it. So we need to look at some kind of expansion at the junior high school, and that's going to be our first concern in the next coming budget.
Yeah, I believe we've pretty much renovated or built new every school system since, I guess, the late 80s.
Yes.
We did all the elementary schools.
Yeah.
I think the only one that wasn't touched was the middle school.
Right.
I think you're right. I think there's probably going to be some work that needs to be done there, although it won't be cheap. The other thing that's come up, and I know this has taken up a lot of time over the last couple of board meetings, has been the athletic director. So what's going on with the athletic director?
Well, we did have someone in mind. We did interview extensively, and the person, unfortunately, that was chosen for the position elected to back out of it. He elected to stay where he was, so after an exhaustive search, we still have 2 additional candidates that we are taking into consideration. And at last night's meeting, we basically sat down with the superintendent and discussed the situation of where his comfort level is in this situation. I think as the ship captain, Mr. Serio needs to be able to say, I want a particular person in any position underneath him, because that has to be an extension of his thoughts and theories. So I think with that in mind, Mr. Serio will be coming back to the board, hopefully at the next meeting, with a particular name in mind of where he would like to see the athletic position go.
Okay. That's it was an odd situation this summer with the athletic director.
Yes, it was.
Yes. The other thing that we've got is test scores. Parents ask me about this a lot. Some of them are not so great. Some of them are better. What are your thoughts on that?
The one thing, unfortunately, with test scores is the fact that with the No Child Left Behind Act, you have to lump everybody into those figures. So a person that, in fact, may be somewhat disabled or have a learning concern is lumped in with his scores or her scores in the same area of what we have to look at in our entire district. That hurts. The No Child Left Behind Act is something that is being looked at. It actually expires this month and is being looked at to, be reenacted. I think it has to be looked at and somewhat curtailed in certain areas to make it equal for all districts so they have an exact idea of where you do stand with your scores. Because right now it's just an unfair situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm getting the high sign that we need to wrap up. Let me just, finish this up. I've been asking everybody this. You're running on the Republican side. What do you think about the mayor's race?
Well, as far as the mayor's race, number one, when it comes to education, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who the mayor is in respect of a party. I've always said in any speech I've ever given to our schools, our children do not wear hats. They're not Republicans, they're not Democrats. I've always said that I'm here for the student. I've had 3 children go through the system. They've all been very successful in life. I've got 3 grandchildren coming up through the system now, so I still have a serious concern of what happens in the future. Obviously, I've got an opinion on the mayor's race. I think that we're on the right track. I think we need to continue because it's not going to come overnight, and we still have a lot of work to do.
Okay, thank you. And this with me tonight is Robert Parente from the Board of Education candidate for the Republican side. Thanks for showing up tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day.